Hello, everybody. I'm Julia Cordova, and today I have got a special treat for us. I have got Jimmy Jude, and we are doing a cocktail hour for charity. And so, in just a second, I'm going to conference in the very generous winners of that charity happy hour. And it really means that we can ask Jimmy whatever the F that we want. So, hi, Jimmy. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Jules. Thank you for having me on. And it's such a great cause. I'm so happy to do it, and I'm so happy to do it with you because I know it's going to be fun and interesting.
It's going to be great. And I have got a cocktail with me. And so
Right
I'm going to conference in
myself as well, especially after this week. I need
on drink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. So anyway, I'm going to conference in those guys because I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I'm just going to pause it.
So I'm Shareth. I guess, like, what do you want to know? Kind of like my story, or what I do, or what? Yeah.
Any of the whatever you want to tell us.
Yeah, I kind of.
What are you trading, and how is it in your life? Like.
Yeah. I started trading in a bank. I was a FX trader for about 5 years. And then I kind of went startups and corporate stuff, and I have a corporate gig now. And I still just follow the markets. I trade, mostly equities now, and some FX and commodities, but it's mostly equities now. And kind of swing trading, kind of manage with my day job, which actually I think not trading full time probably helps me and keeps me out of some trouble.
For sure. So that's the perfect blend.
Yeah.
Well, that long, like if you have a long-term approach and you have a job, you can, like I always trade my retirement account like a fucking ninja. I trade my short-term account like a fucking retard. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I took a job at the Merc after I interned at a bank in college. I met a dude. I went to the University of Wisconsin, Madison. I met a guy who's an S&P local, wild man, David Morton, who brought me down to the floor and was like, I'll get you a gold coat, come look around. Ended up taking a job as an ARB clerk, which I just got basically super lucky. Like I went to interview one day. It was a crazy day. And so the guy that was the office manager interviewed me. He was the only guy to interview me. And we basically just talked about Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin for a while. After I got hired, everyone's like, what'd you say about the question about like how many pennies it takes to stack to the top of the suit drawer? How many socks you got to pull out of the drawer? I'm like, I didn't get any of that shit, man. And did that for like a year, and then got really lucky and was able to go work for Bear Stearns as an equity options trader. Did that for almost 6 years. That was a really wild time. I had the energy and defense book like during September 11th and the Enron meltdown, like all that kind of stuff.
Dude, and they were huge. That was a huge firm.
It was crazy. And then I went for about a decade to the commodities side, like over-the-counter electricity options. Took some time off, like left in 2015. Did some stuff with some friends in like the e-commerce space. After COVID, got really sucked into crypto. And I'm currently running like a portfolio, an event-driven portfolio book for a family office in New York for crypto.
Oh,
okay.
So yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride. But Jimmy, I love seeing the stories from the floor. I was only down there for like a year, maybe between a year and a half.
But you saw it.
It was the most, like, as far as like life learning, it was like the most impactful year of my life. And I worked with guys that I see you mention every once in a while. I don't want to go like too crazy, but Todd Schaefer was he was in the firm that I worked for, and he was a fucking madman. I mean,
I mean,
Like
Todd Schaefer was one of the preeminent fucking lunatics ever from the
he
floor.
was, yeah, like he got hired by the guy, one of the guys, the partners at the firm that I was at, who was like a big Jesus guy. You know, he's
Right.
like trying to save Todd. And I could never really tell if Todd was like really, he was like, man, I gotta go to Bible group this morning at the Merc. Could like never really tell if he was like really into it or like if, you know, he was like so crazy.
Right.
But he
Right.
stories about him and like Chris Farley and you know,
just meeting like those guys, like just being in their presence, and you know, like Todd might have been crazy and everything, but he was also like a fucking sick trader, and it was a
dude,
brilliant fucking human being. You know what I mean? Like he made millions of dollars, like playing the market perfectly before he went fucking completely off the rails. But like even when he was off the rails, like just watching him deal with like that's one of the ways I deal with stress, like is because like Todd was like gallows humor, fucking, you know, like position would be 2 million up his ass and he'd be like, you know, like, hey, where are we going out tonight? No, I'm going, you know, like I'm fucking partying tonight. I'm not losing 2 million bucks today and not fucking partying tonight. You know what I mean? Like he was so fucking crazy, like in the pit, like you'd be like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, but when I look at that, I think to myself, like, this is kind of how you have to be in this business. Like, you have to take it as it comes. You know what I mean? You can't just fucking like, you know, suck your thumb in the corner and curl up in a fetal position every time something gets bad. So like, you know,
yeah,
Todd, you know, like dudes like that, like taught me that like, hey, you know what? You got to man up and sometimes it gets fucking gnarly and you just got to be like, you know, find some gallows humor in it and just like bear down because there's a bunch of it. We're all in it together. And that's what I love about Twitter and talking to you guys about this stuff is like when I'm, you know, I'm pegged and getting fucking smoked, you know, like I see other dudes that are like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know, I'm like, it's fun. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, it's my pit, you know, like Twitter and talking to you guys is like my pit now, you know, and I appreciate it. But
Well, that's what I
yeah,
like about you, Jimmy, is you're not like you don't have it up your butt where you have to be like, oh, I lost this, but I won this. Like you don't give a F because I'm trying to censor it for the little people. I mean the
you know what, like I have been like I've been blown out and humbled in such a disturbing way
yeah.
several times, and I've done it like I've like blown out where it's like I've blown out and like and an entire firm is like looking at me like, did you just ruin all of our careers? You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm trying, you know. And then I've also blown out where I just kind of like was a pussy for years and I just kind of was like, well, you know, just make a little bit, and I just like died on the vine. Like, you know what I mean? So there's so many different ways that you can fuck yourself in this business. And I fucked myself like in every way. I fucked myself by taking too much risk and being like, I'm the fucking king, fuck all you, I'm right, you know, and then I blow out. And those are the ones that are like spectacular in fashion where I like, you know, almost evaporate firms when I do that. And then I learned, but then you go like too far the other way and you're like risk averse and then you like die on the vine because you're like, oh, here's my stop. And oh, I got stopped out. Okay, well, my day is done because I got stopped out. Like, and then you realize like, fuck this, you know, like, and you break all the boundaries and you're like, you know, like, you know what? I'm going to use stops, but I'm going to use my fucking stops. And sometimes I'm going to pull those fucking stops. Like, you know what I mean? And then you start like really like freestyling. Once you've gotten fucked every which way, the market can fuck you. And then like, and that's probably where what you're hearing from me, like, is like humility, because I know, you know, like, I don't, even when I'm right, I'm like, all right, that's cool, but like, let's move on. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. The last thing I do is say to people, well, how did that trade work out for you? If they're trading the opposite, I just, who the fuck cares? Like,
right. And even like dudes that like, like sometimes I'll throw shit out on Twitter, like after I'll throw a position on, I'll throw shit out on Twitter in an obnoxious way because I know that'll like get like fury at like the shit that I just put on. And I want to hear that. I want to hear that obnoxious fury because I want to be like, wow, you know, I want to stress test my idea. But like a lot of times, like I'll just hear like, you know, like it'll just reinforce my shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know exactly what
you know, because like, especially like right now, this is like a terrific time to like think about like the markets because it's like you got like the crashers and you got the it's going to be okayers, you know, and like personally, like it of course it could go either way right now. It's not like it was, you know, I used to be able to call like over the last 2 years, I would just say like, you know, like I know, you know, like this is where I'm buying, go fuck yourself. This is my level because I knew the Fed was behind me and everyone else was like, no, you know, this is it. You know, I'm like, dude, the Fed is fucking printing. Go fuck yourself. This is the level. But you can't really do that anymore. Like I can't really like people are like, hey, where's the bottom right now? I can't like tell you where the bottom is. I don't fucking know because the Fed isn't really, you know, the Fed's being cagey at this point. So now you have to like, now you have to really like what are we in right now? Look at a 60-minute chart. Like I look at like both the NASDAQ or the S&P and I'm like, are these consolidations or are these bottoms? You know what I mean? Like you have to like think about that shit. Are these like are we making like wicks here? Like it's a bottom? How is this behaving? We're still staying underneath the 200-day, but like these are all like things like I need to think about and everyone needs to think about now, like on a constant basis where we didn't probably have to think about that last year, where we could just kind of be like, all right, fuck it, sell it down to this point. I know, like, you know, you knew where your backing was, like, because the Fed was there. So the Fed isn't there anymore, but I don't think because the Fed isn't there anymore, it's necessarily like, oh, just sell everything. It's a fucking shit show. Okay. I feel like the Fed is going to be very cagey right now. The fact that they're using interest rates and that they, you know, like not a lot of, you know, market prognosticators or whatever Fed guys have talked about this that much. And maybe I'm off, maybe I'm just fucking an old moron, but whatever. Like the thing that I kept hearing Jay Powell saying is that they're going to use interest rates to deal with this. They're going to use interest rates to deal with this. Well, you know what? Like that's the least scary fucking thing for me.
He also left like a really wide door open in the beginning of his statement. You know, I mean, he was like, but, you know, like we're open to changing things at any moment, you know.
Right.
So,
He was, you know what, that exactly like, the fucked up thing about it is like the narrative that came out of that was like, oh, this was a dovish statement, but then he was super hawkish in the commentary. Well, of course he's going to be super hawkish in the commentary because he has to be political to all you fucking cunts that are fucking screaming about, you know, inflation right now. But you know, like the way I see it is like, most of the things that caused inflation, the inflation, you know, the checks, you know, the people just spewing money out to anyone who needed it, anyone who cried got fucking thousands of dollars. Like, you know, like that's over. The virus isn't over, but all that other bullshit that got us here is over. We're not doing that anymore. So like people that are like, no, this is a fucking problem. This is a serious problem. This is inflation. You know, like I'm kind of with the Fed where I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna wait and see, dude, because a lot of the things that caused this are gone now, and yet the issues are still there. You know what I mean? Like you're not printing, you're yanking back on printing. You're going to be raising rates, or you're telegraphing that you're making markets pull back. You're making the front of the curve pull up, so people can't refi and drag that money out of their homes like as a no-brainer and piss it down the toilet anymore. You know what I mean? Like all this shit is happening right fucking now. So like, do they really have to go that far? And on top of that, they don't want to go that far. They don't want to fuck the economy up. They don't want to fucking crash these markets. They want to play this fine line. The dudes that are fucking pumping this, like, these guys are fucked. There's no way they're going to do this and that. These guys are all fucking money managers sitting on a ton of cash that are just kind of trying to scare the fuck out of everybody that these guys are going to have this massive policy mistake. And it's going to go down another, 10, 20% down to like 4,000 or whatever. I don't know, in the S&P, because that's where they really want to come in. So this is like that, like we're at that moment in the market where like this is where the war happens. You know what I mean? Where logic and paranoia meet. And I'm not necessarily like logically, I feel like the Fed didn't say anything to push us down to 4,000 right now. He didn't say anything like that. You know what I mean? He left his options open. As long as he leaves his options open, there's always that, there's going to be that underlying bid underneath the market. It's going to make you like, it's going to make you think, you know what I mean? Like, hey, believe me, I would love to I have no fucking idea what to do right now. We're right in the middle. We're diddling in the middle right now. I don't know whether to fucking like blast out and raise, cash right now and be like, go for that 4,000 level. Or is this thing going to fucking pop back up over the 200 day and everyone's going to realize like, wait a minute, these guys actually didn't say anything overtly hawkish. They just said they're going to raise rates a quarter at a meeting. Like, are you shitting me? Like, in this environment, does that really exhaust these flames, raising rates a quarter at a meeting? It doesn't, in my viewpoint.
So what do you guys think?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I was going to say, especially if they're not doing QT, well, right? Like that's been like the big fear. But here's my question, right? I do think that makes sense. I got like two thoughts. One is, what about the fact that now everyone's watching the Fed, which kind of helps, right? Because you have people on Reddit talking back in December about how the Fed's going to raise rates and all this stuff. And it's all crap. So then people delever and they kind of do some of the work for the Fed a little bit. And then there's the natural bid. But here's like the big thing I think about, you're talking about like the stupidity coming out of the market. Last year with like all the GameStop, AMC stuff, some people would say Tesla too, like just these kind of like unprofitable companies getting into the indices and getting like to be big parts of the indices. That's like the thing I think about. Like I could almost see this choppy, I don't really know what's going to happen, right? And I'm kind of trying to trade it. So I'm like, okay, let's find some entry points that are going to work and stay out of the choppy lines. But I could see the situation where you keep seeing like these bubbly garbage growth stocks getting hammered. You see concentration in like the Apples and the Amazons and all that. And the whole thing is like a big chop higher, right? And then there's like a blow off top. And then at that point, it's like, it's not that your top 5 stocks are 80% of the index or whatever, is it 40%? It's like something crazy. Like, but I think top higher would be crazy. Like that would be the most painful thing for the entire market because everyone thinks it's going to like 3,000 or 6,000.
Right.
Dropping, they're all going to get taken out.
And I tell you, from my experience, isn't and like it's kind of fucked up because obviously my experience has nothing to do with like what the fuck we're into now, but I can't draw on like small things like, all right, as the Fed normalizes, obviously you're going to see like moves in the dollar like you saw like recently over the last like 24 hours. They're going to move up. And I think that when you want to see like stress cracks, when you want to like look at things where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to like get the fuck out, or like, you know, like protect myself a little bit. I think that happens when the Fed keeps going, the dollar raises, and all of a sudden these small markets, these emerging markets that are like are a little more sensitive to debt and currency issues and rate issues. They start the branches start breaking overseas before they start breaking here. That's why like I kind of like, I get frustrated and sometimes I lash out at people like on Twitter that are like, oh, here we go, you know, this is it, it's over now. And it's like that's not the way this shit happens. That's not the way it ends. Like, it ends overseas first. It ends over in these like we like smaller markets come to their knees first. You know what I mean? You see like even in like the late 90s, like the branches started breaking around us, and we were you know, we were kind of like, oh, that's all right, you know what I mean? Because like as they're breaking, we recover from them, and then we realize like, oh no, and then we think that it's not a big deal. But these are like branches that are hard to quantify. Like currency issues are hard to quantify. Those are the issues that like that shit starts, and that will happen. And when that starts happening, that's when you start like, that's when I really begin to get nervous. I don't get nervous when it's like, when just the US is digesting a different policy that I think that is like actually a decent policy, and it's probably the correct policy for right now. Everyone is, you know, like the economy doesn't need extra fucking QE right now. You know what I mean? The economy could handle higher interest rates, you know. About the, you know, QT thing, I don't know about that. But then again, they've been, you know what I mean? What did they say about QT? We'll do QT on our own terms. They did not add that into that. And you know what? We've been fucking listening to people talk about QT like the Fed's going to do this, the Fed's going to fucking do QT, they're going to go 75 basis points, they're going to, oh, there might be an you know what I mean? Like, the Fed has not said any of this, okay? So the Fed is like, they're actually, you know, like, Rick Santelli can go like do his like fucking rant, like they missed an opportunity, they should have, you know, like, all right, dude, I get that. That's your, you know, you get that 1 hour a week where you do your thing. But in reality, it's like, you know, it's kind of a smart play. Like, what the fuck would you do if you had an $8 trillion position? You're not going to telegraph anything. You're going to like, I felt like when they kept repeating that, like, interest rates was their best path at dealing with inflation, they were almost fucking with everybody, telling them that they were going to like crash the market. Like, no, we're not going to crash the market. We're going to raise interest rates slowly and methodically. And we're going to tell you this, and we're going to let the long end move down too, so we don't invert the curve like too quickly either. Like, and we're going to slow things down a little bit, and we're going to get this inflation under control that way. And on top of that, I really think in the back of their minds, they're thinking a lot of these issues that cause this inflation are going to be dissipating.
They already are. I mean,
yeah, right. They already are.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Aaron?
I mean, you know, all this stuff is like a matter of timelines too, right? So, right. You know, when you say what's going to happen, is it like next week or next month, or next year? I personally am of the opinion, like, you know, I think ECRI is like the weekly leading indicators, like one of the best things to watch. I think Lakshman is like one of the smartest dudes out there. And you look at ECRI, you look at PMI, like they're both falling. I think a lot of people are going to be stung by buying, you know, a $30,000 car for $55,000 that's going to be worth $20,000 2 years from now.
I know.
But I also am really strongly of the belief that, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Lacey Hunt, the economist from Van Hoisington. I mean, I really believe that he's correct. And essentially, like, when you have this situation where you have too much debt, which we have as a country, like, you can either basically like really crank rates, or you can just kind of like have too much debt forever. And I think that rates are going to stay at zero. Essentially, we're going to have these like small periods where rates go up a little bit, and we're just going to, we have shitty demographics that are getting worse. More and more people leave the labor force. We have an aging population. Every time we add debt, we have to add even more than we did the last time, and we get less effect than we did the last time. So rates aren't going anywhere long term. And I think that you can just, will we see a 20% correction or 10% correction? Like, I don't know. But I think that long term, we're going to be in the same place where it's like asset inflation, low rates, low growth. I mean, growth is already slowing. And it's going to be game on. The biggest question I have for basically everyone in this space is why the fuck you guys are still scalping it out in the fucking S&P futures and not coming into the crypto space, because the trade is so much better. So even when it's shitty, the trade is better. And like, I feel like when you saw dudes when everything was going electronic on the floor, and you'd like show up in the pit and there was still like 3 old dudes like fucking, in the pit, like making markets, waiting for that big fucking S&P contract.
Those guys were like laying down the last time we saw them. They were like laying
totally, man.
with a fucking handheld on their chest. Like, I think they're still there.
And I feel like a lot of people are just reluctant or like afraid to trade something new. And the competition.
You're right about that. And like I fucking like.
You are right.
You're absolutely right. And I see sometimes I like watch some of these crypto markets, and I'm like, they almost trade as if it was like TA 101.
Dude.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Listen,
that fucking spot hasn't worked for me in 30 fucking years, and this fucking thing just held in Bitcoin. Like, cocksucker, why the fuck am I not fucking trading this?
You want to know? Kenny Griffin isn't there yet. Like, he's coming, right? You probably
right. He hasn't fucked everything up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not trading, like, the competition is less, right? And there is, I remember, going back to like, this dude David Morton, like, he brings me into the S&P pit, and I don't know shit. He's like, look around. He's like, everywhere you see, there's just fucking free money just hanging out somewhere. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. It's just all looks like a lot of chaos to me, right?
Right.
But I think that, once you get into the fucking groove, it's clear that there are some markets like where there's more opportunity than others. And I'm not, listen, like, the S&P, futures are like probably the biggest market, great place to start, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man. I see a lot of stock guys and, futures guys talking all the, crypto's a scam, it's going to zero. Like, I'm like, dude, who gives a shit whether it's true or not? Like, the trade is good, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
dude, you're absolutely right. Like, one of my favorite dudes that trades, this guy Brent Nord, said the exact same thing to me. He was like, "Hey, dude, are you trading crypto?" And I'm like, I don't know if I'm like too old or I don't get it or whatever, but I haven't traded it yet. And he's like, "You fucking retard! What the fuck? Get into it!" Like, dude, this is like trading back in 2002 when we first started trading like electronically, and you could like trade all those like ridiculously simple fucking TA spots. Like, it's trading off that. And I've watched it. I'm still a cunt, I have to admit. Like, I'm still like watching it, and I'm like, because like, I'm involved in my other shit, but I like, dude, you're right. It's a tradable market. It's a very tradable market, and who gives a fuck what you're trading as long as you're making money? So
100%. I mean, it's not about what market's real, right?
Right. Who gives a shit?
Different risks. I mean, right. I also am personally like of the opinion that like crypto is going to be kind of like the basis of like the financial system, like as it evolves.
Yeah.
Why are we doing T+2 for trade settlement? Like, the whole, I mean, the idea of having kind of like a public blockchain makes a lot of sense. I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, But yeah,
No, there's value there. There's value there. Like, I don't know where the only thing, like, I don't know, like, when I trade it, I don't know where the value is, like, implicitly. I just know where, like, levels are, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
when
but
I
dude,
trade,
how many times
like,
have
if
you
I
heard
look at it,
Linda say she didn't even know what a fucking Eurodollar was, right?
right,
And like,
right,
she was like one of the biggest fucking traders there for like a decade. So,
right.
you know,
Dude, I mean, yeah.
Well,
No, that's true. You're absolutely right. Like, if it's going up and down and it's making sense and I can make money on it, I don't give a fuck what you name it.
I just found a lot of people who trade it to be very annoying. So that was I'm just being really honest. Like when they get on my feed, they're like, out to the moon, we're going to the moon. And I'm just, okay, I can't with these people.
Right. They're like the .comers back in
worse.
like late 90s. They're worse. They're actually worse because they actually think like it's like a lifestyle thing. Like the .comers in the 90s were just making money and were just pricks.
They didn't care.
I'll say this, like, so I got deep into like crypto, like blockchain stuff in like 2016, 17, and kind of like was tracking it for a while. And in my old job, I was at a big company and they were like, what's our blockchain strategy in 2018? Like I was like the guy working on that, which nothing happened. I believed in it a lot more then, but then seeing it now, like there's so much more scammy stuff now. And it's like definitely a lot of, I think it's great to trade though. I'm with you on that. Like the volatility, the way it respects technicals.
Right. To trade it. But like, what do you think? Like, dude, what do you think? Like, what's your opinion on the technology?
Well, here's like the whole decentralization thing when people are like, centralization is bad. Like it's evil because big centralized things always want to grow and take advantage of the participants. That's true, but people like that too. Like you like going to a store and trusting something. Like people like trusting something.
That's true. That's
my
true.
other thing is like, you really think that like the Bitcoin people who are like, it's going to take over everything and like fiat is done. You really think all these governments are going to like, you really think that? Like, have you really played this out?
Right.
They're just going to take Bitcoin away and then that's it.
When you speak
so like,
but there's all kinds of stuff, like there's protocols that are useful to
from like a guy that's like has like, is the blockchain thing that like which they always fall back on, like, oh, the block, like you might not agree with this bullshit and you know, but this like blockchain technology where you like it's secure and you can like, is that legit? Is that you know? And
some of it's legit.
Yeah, then I'll give mine. Yeah,
some of it's legit. I mean, just listen, like nothing is absolute, right? Like we're never going to be in a world where like everyone in the world just uses Bitcoin or like there's always going to be some kind of back and forth. I do think that we'll see more smaller nations like El Salvador move to something like Bitcoin because what's their other option? Getting fucked by the IMF, right? Like, I mean, for them, this is an out just as much as it is for people that don't want to participate in the bullshit.
I know, but you know what? Like the more, if a bunch of small countries like adopt that attitude, then like the man is gonna fucking murder them. They're just gonna run over their ass
because they don't want them to be richer than all of the U.S. and everybody, right? They don't want it.
Gang up, we can take on them, right? It's like,
they're not gonna let these dudes do this.
I think everyone should take $5,000, $500, $5,000, whatever your learning money is, your tuition money, right? And like, buy some crypto, buy some Ethereum, some Ether, set up like a self-hosted.
Let me ask you this though. Okay, so like in the late 90s, like, I went through the bubble popping and everything, and and I bought shit. I waited until it like got ugly, and I tried to buy the biggest winners. And even then it was laborious, you know what I mean? And it took years to for them to come to fruition. So in case if this if crypto is is for a full-on fucking ass-pounding washout, who wins here? Like,
It might
name
happen.
3.
Yeah, I mean, it might happen. You know, I mean, I think like Bitcoin and Ether are definitely things to own, like they're not going away. And then certainly within like the
What's your third? What's your crypto and Ether? I got that one. Those are like they seem like Amazon and Apple. You know what I mean? Like as everyone's taking it in the ass, they'll look. You know, what's the one that's out there that's like really taking it in the ass right now? That like might,
I'll throw
like
it out there.
Yeah.
that's not so obvious.
We're not pumping and dumping, so I'll throw my out there. So there's one called AMP, and they're actually doing like payment rails and things like that. And I've worked with those guys for a while and looked at it for years.
What's it called?
AMP.
AMP.
Yeah, they're actually trying to do like you can actually go and pay with their app. Like you can walk into a GameStop and pay with Bitcoin, and they actually like do this clever stuff with QR codes and all that.
Right on. So it's like a way to actually use this shit in
Protocol
every day.
Process transaction.
I'm gonna go
I want to hear you.
deeper on the other side. Yearn Finance, YFI would be my name. You know, it's a decentralized finance protocol. And if you guys were Silicon Valley VCs and I came in and pitched this name to you, and you know, I just told you everything. Hey, like here's the deal. This is how old this business is. Here's the growth rate. Here's their revenue run rate. You know, number of employees, whatever. And I put like a knife in between Julia and Jimmy and was like, but here's the deal. Only one of you guys can invest. You guys will be trying to stab each other so fucking fast. Like, I think some of these names, like, you know, Yearn will probably it's worth about $1 billion. They'll probably make somewhere between 175 and 200 million in net profit this year, right? And they're like, what'd you say?
How do they make money?
So they're like a yield aggregator, right? Like if you don't want to figure out decentralized finance all by yourself, you can just deposit basically like money with them, and they're going to go and they're obviously taking like a haircut, but they're going to like put your money to work in the best place possible. They have, I think, one of the best teams out there. They haven't really had problems. You know, it's a completely decentralized organization as far as like the team goes. And I think what they're doing is like super fucking cool. I think we will see like Harvard Business Review like case studies about Yearn Finance in like 5 to 10 years. Like it's just super rad. And if you buy them at like a 7x, like what fintech like unicorn could you buy at like a 7x profit, right? Like 7x earnings, like not sales, not revenue, you know.
Well, I have to ask you a very basic question, and I'm so sorry that this is very basic, but that's how I am. Why are any of these things worth anything if nobody is using them right now? Like, what in the world? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't, if a lot of these, it's so expensive for Bitcoin transactions and Ethereum transactions. That's why I kind of jumped on the Doge train also because I mean, you know, Elon's pushing it and I'm just like, well, he's very successful. So I think he's going to, you know, I mean, once it gets accepted, like all these places, I think it's going to go higher, but like why on earth would anybody put money in anything that's not used for anything right now? I'm sorry to be so basic.
I think some of it's like, you know, recursive, like, you know, the money that's being used is like somewhat siloed. But I think that there really are like, you know, real use cases, not only on like the financial side in terms of, you know, like lending. I'll tell you what, like, if you, again, going back to this like tuition model, if you take your like $500, $5,000, whatever it is of, you know, tuition money and get Ether, put it on a self-hosted wallet, like, you know, MetaMask is like a software wallet. If you're going to go bigger, I think you should get like a hardware wallet and go play with it. Like go, you know, like deposit something for interest, take out a collateralized loan, right? Like to me, that's one of the coolest things. Like when's the last time you went to take out a loan from a bank. How much paperwork, how many like did you have to do? People you had to talk to.
Yeah.
When you can take out a loan in like literally like 4 minutes, it's pretty fucking rad. When I can send you money on like a Saturday night and you like really receive it, right? It's like not Venmo, where if you wanted that.
Shreff, what do you think about this, bro?
Well,
I
so
want to,
and I'm not like crypto's going to zero and it's a scam. I think there's real stuff in there. But
right.
I want to throw like out one thing. The collateralized loan thing. I buy a bunch of Bitcoin and I take a loan on it. To me, like if you think about like that Bitcoin order book, there's a stop loss now somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm 50% collateralized at like 60 grand, guess what? Like there's a stop at 30 grand where I get liquidated.
What do they do? They, like cut you, like break your arms and stuff to get that money back? Like what in the world?
Right. And so then your loan's done. So you're borrowing, you're like earning, you're borrowing against your Bitcoin, but then you have like Michael Saylor, right? And these companies that are issuing bonds, converts, they're buying all this Bitcoin, and then it's a convertible bond. Like there's kind of like a short put position they've got basically, if you kind of like map it out. And I'm not like the expert on converts, but to me, like that whole Bitcoin order book is like littered with stop losses down to 10K. And so like give me your view, but my view is like markets seek out pain.
Yeah.
And you guys are like telegraphing like, hey, I got like a $3 billion stop loss at 14K in Bitcoin. Hope it doesn't get there. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's a gap at 12,000. That's why I was so adamant about it going there before, because like I figure it was better sooner rather than later, right?
Everything Aaron's saying is like, it makes sense, right? And I'm not going to dispute that and be like, this is garbage. I'm like, there's a lot of leverage in that system. And to me, like, once the money starts drying up, I mean, we see it, right? You see it in every like growth stock that's been kind of bubbly. That
right.
Is going to get
right.
I think it's to buy.
It's and that's where we are right now. Like we're there's no more hiding. You know what I mean? That like you better you better have something good to say, because like like I can buy a stock. I'm not even like that great of a stock trader. I'm a futures trader. I'm a market guy. I'm a price guy, and I'm pretty good at that shit. But like even when I like buy a stock, like I'll know like what value is, where I'll know where like VCs came in. I know where like guys put serious money, like where smart money is in, you know what I mean? Even as like a stock like Robinhood is like fucking crashing and getting destroyed. Like I know like where dudes are in. I know, you know what I mean? Like I know how to value that shit.
Yeah.
Like when some of these other things are like especially crypto is like getting smoked. I don't know where the fuck it, like I don't know where to come in. Like I can come in on a technical price, but I know like they'll just blow me out like quickly because I don't really like, those are the stops like I'll use. I won't use stops when I buy like if I'm going to take a shot on Robinhood and fucking inhale this thing on this dip, I'm just going to buy it and go fuck yourself. And I'll like go down in flames, whatever, if it bucks me. But like Bitcoin, like, or any of these cryptos that are so hard to like, measure, like I do need to stop and I get stopped out and I don't even know like if it's right or wrong. And I don't, and then it rips back up and I'm like, oh, like, I don't even know, like, fuck, why did I use that stop? But if I didn't use that, you know what I mean? Like there's no, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I have no like.
Sure. Well,
I think
I mean,
there's only one way to learn.
Right.
There's great price action in Bitcoin though, like every headline and all that stuff. Like you can kind of see like when the futures ETF got approved and it hit that spike high and then it dumped, right? Like that was kind of like stuff. But yeah, I'm with you.
Like it's an extremely tradable market. Like I don't want to discount it. When it gets like completely fucking stupid and I see, like growth stocks turn around and I see like interest rates back off and I see, you know what I mean? Like, and I see other metrics back off. Like I always think like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'd love to fucking buy crypto right here because I know they're going to fucking pop, and they're probably going to pop at like yet on the line. But I need to know that, like, I need to know that anchor point, and I'm not sure what that anchor point is with that world, which scares me, like I need to know, like, because I can come in on anchor points on other stuff where I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker. I'll, like I know I'm within a certain percentage of the inflection point here. Go fuck
What
yourself.
gives you that experience? What gives you that certainty, right? It's just years of experience. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, what? So like crypto, I'm more like,
Framework to
it's
think
more
of.
like trading natural gas back in like when I first started trading natural gas, like back in '05 when it was like getting really crazy right before like the hurricanes. And I really didn't know how to value it, but it was like an incredible fucking trade. And it was like, like that's why I don't discount it. Like I made a lot of money in it because it was like fucking ripping around and it was acting technically correctly, because markets that rip around like go back to technicals because no one else knows really how to fucking deal with it other than the technicals, you know what I mean? So it becomes like this really good trade. But as like an investment, it's like, it's scary. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like that long.
no one's saying like put all your money in crypto, right?
Right.
So
I
I
understand
think
that.
we're still in like the AOL dial-up days.
You said trade it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the same way, like all this, crazy shit happened in the dot-com bubble. Like you have like the destruction of like all the cool ideas, like half of them are bullshit, half of them are real, but like just don't fucking
Right.
work.
Right. I
We're
think
still,
that's exactly what we're dealing with. Most of this shit is bullshit, but probably Bitcoin and or whatever, like there's probably the top three are legit and they're going to be real and people are going to make a killing in it. And all the other shit is going to turn out to be fucking the .com shit that we saw that was just fucking worthless.
yeah, but in the same way that like there are no like .com stocks anymore, right? Like everything's a fucking .com. Everyone uses the internet. Like
Right.
10
That's
years
true.
from now, like everything's gonna be crypto. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be like, a token, but like it's coming for everything, in my opinion.
Right.
We see new opportunities. I just think paying attention to the space will be valuable.
I'm with you, dude. I am paying attention to the space. I am like, I'm like trading it along with you with like one lots, as a total pussy, because I'm like, because I like it and I'm trying to get my rhythm, but it trades well. It trades correctly at times, and that's what I really appreciate about it. You know what I mean? And that's probably because it's such a new market, and for that reason, if you're a trader, you should be trading that market because it's trading like the markets used to trade back in the before algos wiped out every spot and made you want to kill yourself. You know what I mean? This thing's actually like trading correctly, which is really cool. So it's fucking a really cool trading investment, and like you said, it'll probably mature into something much better. And I'm with you. Dude. I hear you. There's
I'm not trying
value.
to argue that it's the best, or like everyone should invest all their money in it. It's more just, like I said originally, it always surprises me how many guys are just kind of poo-pooing it.
Yeah.
When it's like, dude, I mean, there's some low-hanging fruit,
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. No, poo-pooing it is silly.
Well, you get the
If you
cult.
don't understand it, that's one thing, but and there are risks. So like you can define the risk. Of course, there it's it could be a fucking disaster. But to poo-poo the opportunities that are there is also kind of, that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah. Well,
Can I ask you guys a totally kind of related actually, like with the culty kind of stuff? Like you have like the anti-crypto guys, then you have the we're only going to the moon guys. And I think like everything here is pretty reasonable. Like you're like, hey, don't ignore the space. Like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You compared it to like the .com, and like I wasn't trading then. I was like in
Mhm.
elementary school then. But have you ever seen this kind of culty, like the people who are like, we're holding on and we're going to screw the hedge funds and we're going to hold on to AMC from 65 down to 20, and then just it's almost like this, they're proud of the loss, and I can't tell how much it's being manipulated. Like there's
Dude, I've never seen that. I've never seen that, and and it's like the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it's like I don't even know if like it's a generational thing. Like but it's so fucking stupid. Like even in the .com, in the stupidest of the .com bullshit, no one was that fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Everyone was like neurotic and like, oh Jesus Christ, I can't believe I just made this. Oh my God, I gotta get out. You know what I mean? Like people were like fucking acting normal. You know what I mean? Like no one was like, no, I'm burning down with Cisco. You know, like,
Yeah.
no, they were like, fuck, Cisco's down $15. I'm get out. You know, like they're like, you know,
like retweet if you're not selling after the thing dumps 50%, and they're like talking about how screwed the hedge funds are. And I actually think like I think that like all these hedge funds and stuff are shorting it. And I think they are honestly like there's bots, they're paying for it to like pump these guys up because they're like, I think the whole thing is getting manipulated, but I've never seen this where people are like,
that
proud.
would be what a great strategy that would
I'm
be.
sure they're
To, like pump bots all over Twitter
There
about
are.
holding on to
I
this
block them
shit
all
as
the
you
time.
shorted the fuck out of it.
and spreading misinformation around like, pathetic shares and garbage. I'm sure like the hedge fund manager who's like limit short GameStop is like putting like analysis out.
Well, no, I mean, it's true. But before Wall Street Bets became like mainstream, before everybody knew about it, I guess everybody knew about it. I mean, I think it was the place to be to get the scoop, and they were all coordinated. Now it's like a collection of nitwits, and you just do exactly the opposite of what you see all of the likes have. I actually go on there now every day and sort it by that, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is not happening today. And they post their lost porn. I'm like,
that's
okay,
what I was going to lost porn. Yeah.
that is not freaking
they really?
porn. I don't know what generation you grew up in, but my porn is better than your porn. Okay. Like that's not porn.
this is like the Tide Pods of trading.
What the exactly? Like, oh, I lost
That's
$300,000
worst
today.
part, is those dudes give this like they give the movement a bad name because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, come on, bro.
I
Like
know.
you can't just like that's not, you know, like that hodl shit, and you know what I mean? That's like fucking, and you know what? Most of those dudes are probably toast at this point, you know, right?
Well, that's why I think Robinhood, the engagement, I don't know if you saw the numbers. I just saw Zero Hedge.
Yeah.
I don't really follow it, but like,
Terrible.
I'm like, ooh, that might actually be bullish because they got rid of all those, the first layer of idiots are gone.
Is all that out. Yeah.
Right. Now
Washed
it's
them
the
out.
next layer of idiots. Now it's like, okay, let's go forward on low volume. And then we'll take out the next layer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't believe it when they called it lost porn. I never saw such a thing. I was like, that is just wrong use of the word.
Like everything else happens like in every cycle, it seems, right? Like you're like, hey, the .comers and the crypto and all this. This seems like totally different. Like the kind of like religious.
It is. It's different. This is different. And like, but you know what? Like I tweeted out like a long time ago, and I was like, you motherfuckers, like you guys are talking about bubbles and everything. You crypto dudes you're the bubble. Like we're not the bubble. Like you're like, we're not like equities in certain respect, some equities are a bubble, but like the S&P and the grandfather stocks and all those, like your the stocks your mom and dad are in, like
GE is
getting
not a
4% like all that shit, those aren't a bubble. Those fucking things have been like just quietly going up at like 8% a year as everything else is like ripping through. And in reality, like these massive pullbacks, those portfolios aren't taking that much heat in this because they have a lot of energy in them. They have a lot of like bellwether shit, like, so like as everyone is like saying, oh my God, like, oh, the fucking stock market's getting killed right now. Like most mom and pops are sitting there at home looking at their 401ks and saying like, this isn't so bad.
Right.
This is actually less aggravating than watching this thing double and me only going up 10%. And then watching this thing get fucking killed and me only going down 3%. I'm less, you know what I mean? Like that's what most retirees are seeing right now in their portfolios. Like all this wild gyrations, this isn't shit no one is fucking invested in anyways. You know what I mean? This is all like fucking hedge fund bullshit. Like you think, like look at your mom and dad's fucking portfolio. It's fucking 4% dividend, old school fucking shit that sucked, that like grinded away over the last few years. But you know what? It's not getting killed right now. This shit, the other shit's getting killed right now. So like, let them worry about this. You know what I mean? This isn't an upheaval of the markets. This is just a repricing of stupidly priced assets.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Which that's what the Fed probably wants, right? Like if the
Right.
Fed can pop all the bubbles and the S&P stays above 4,000, but all the
And that's
garbage.
what,
Yeah.
isn't that what they're trying to do? They're like telling you like, fuck you. We're not like supporting stupidity anymore, but we're going to raise rates slowly because we know that the quality shit actually wants rates probably a little higher and doesn't mind rates a little higher, and a normalcy to this market, the normal shit. And the normal shit is out there is not underperforming right now. It really isn't. Like it's the high flyers, crazy fucking 50 times forward sales. That bullshit is getting fucking smoked. And the Fed wants them to get smoked. They don't really give a shit about them. Like, go fuck yourself. That's crazy. You're the guys that are causing the problems. But they're not going as far as like, hey, we're gonna like hurt you other people. We're not gonna hurt the savers. We're not gonna hurt the retirement crew. You're gonna be okay. We're only raising rates here. You're okay with raising rates. They know that these fucking old bastards have energy in their portfolios. They know they have the banks in their portfolios. They're trying to move the long end of the curve down a little bit so they have some room on moving interest rates up a little bit without inverting the curve or flattening it too much. You know what I mean? They're being respectful to a lot of people that are investing, like responsibly. They're being respectful to those people. They're not being respectful to the people that are being fucking idiots. They're fucking them.
So it's interesting.
But that's the difference.
Yeah. So it's interesting to listen to this actually, because I didn't actually even hear the Fed talk. And when I heard what you guys just said, they said, I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that. Because I try not to listen to it because it gets in my head. But like,
right.
So I guess the question is, from my perspective, I mean, if we have not topped out, and I personally do not believe that we have, but if we have not, what tools are you looking for from a macro perspective? What can they do to boost them? Because you said you don't feel like they have our backs anymore. You feel like they're being a little cagey, and they're just giving us the hope trade. It's like that, it's like the trade war, right?
Right.
We knew as long as we didn't have resolution that it was going to keep going up. And I think we're still in a trade war. I can't be certain, but like, I think so. So what are you looking for from a macro perspective? What tools are in the Fed's toolbox, your ears, that will allow them to have a blow off top, allow us to have a blow off top? What are they going to say and do? How do we know that's going to happen?
Right. I think like what they're doing right now is like, I think they're like backing off the QT talk and pressing on with the interest rate talk, because like, if they're just going to like deal with, if they're going to say like, listen, a lot of these components that cause inflation are probably transitory, even though they can't really say that at this point because they'll get fucking murdered. But it is true. So they're buying themselves some time, and in reality, like they don't really need to do much at this point. All right, they don't really need to like they. I think they know that the economy is somewhat slowing. They know that the like Omicron raged over the last couple months. It caused like dislocations. It caused a bunch of issues. And you know what? Like, I have a feeling like they know that inflation numbers are going to come down, but they also know that growth, like every economic number is going to come down right now. They know that, you know what I mean? They know like things are going to slow. They know that they have some wind at their back, even though the political pressure is unrelenting right now. Inflation is hurting. It's hurting the lower class. It's, you know what I mean? It's a political hot button and everything. But I think they actually think that they have this under control, and that this is going to be cool, and they're going to be able to control this with rates, and they're not going to fuck up the economy or the stock market by simply maneuvering rates. Because rates, like, we can all agree, like, rates are low. They're too low. They're too low for this environment. We can raise rates. You know what I mean? Like, you can raise rates a hell of a lot higher than here without busting a stock market bubble or without ruining the economy. So they're saying to you, like, we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I'm sorry. I remember it was really when I first started trading a long ass time ago. Well, not even that long ago, actually, compared to you guys. Oh my God. But like, I remember when they first raised rates after not raising them forever and ever, it turned out to be bullish, because that meant that we then believed in the economy. Like,
right.
Wasn't it? And I was expecting it to be like, oh no, that's
right. We're just in that moment where like everyone thinks that like we can't do this on our own. You know what I mean? Like every component that they've been supplying to us, we're relying on. And that's not necessarily true. Like the economy's humming along, and like we are human beings. We want better. We want a better job. We want to make more money. Like everyone always discounts that in this equation, like as if like we're only just market participants on like this mathematical but we're fucking human beings, and the market is full of human beings. And you want to make less? No, I want to make more. I want to, I'm constantly thinking, how can I make more money? How can I get a better job? How can I do this? Every human being is out there. That's the fucking market. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the market is like hard to short, because the market is the fucking human spirit. They fucking, you know what I mean? Like, nobody fucking wants it to go down. The only people that want it to go down are the people that are like long puts or in cash that want to fucking buy it.
Or they're mad that they missed it. Yeah.
Or they're mad that they missed it. Yeah. You know what I mean? The human spirit doesn't want the fucking market. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the market fucking goes up, because we want, you know what I mean? We want more.
Yeah.
Every fucking person wants more, So it's like, to short the market and to short, like, you better be right on the timing, because you're shorting everyone's fucking desires, wants, and, in life.
Yeah.
So, you better fucking time that right, because you're selling everyone's soul at that point,
I think you get some guys who, when you're right and you're short and that thing just cascades down, you're just like,
right. And then you're a fucking hero.
and you feel like $1 million, you just had a huge trade. And I think there's people that basically like their trading careers are like born in bear markets. When that happens, they like can't ever not trade from the short side again. I know Uncle Rico was given warnings beginning of January.
Yeah, he's so smart, right? He actually said right at the freaking top, I think, right near it anyway. He was like, yeah, you know what? Take some profit. I'm buying dips, but he hasn't come back yet. But, I was thinking to myself, this last Fed meeting was very similar to what I think is a known volatility event. And if you saw the interview we did for the election, because, me, I'm like a pea brain retail, at least I know I am, but like, I'm like, this is very bearish. Sorry?
So don't sell yourself short.
Oh, well, thank you. But like, I think like a retail person, that's why I fade myself all the time. But like, I was thinking that the election was very bearish, originally, but then it was at my support and he said it's a known volatility event. And I kept thinking that, the Fed has telegraphed to us what they were going to say. And so I kept thinking that this is similar to that I should be buying this. And so that's what I have been doing. And as long as we're above 4,280, I am buying every dip. And then when we get below that, I will not.
To talk to that dude. He seems like an interesting guy.
He's the greatest in every way.
Yeah. No, he's I like guys like that too, that are super smart on the markets, but are also like really unorthodox. Because like it like everyone that I've ever known that like was really good at trading or reading the markets has been a little fucked up. You know what I mean? Like you have to be a little bit fucked up to do it correctly. Like no one, so like I like those unorthodox guys. He's an unorthodox guy. He's like, sometimes like guys will like sign me onto a floor on Goldman Sachs and I'm like walking around and like I used to tell, I'd come home to my wife and I'd be like, you know what, like unfucking real. Like I used to walk around the floor and everyone would be like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know what the fuck is going on. What do you hear? I don't know. And I'd be like, you guys don't know fucking shit about anything. I hate the fucking floor. No one knows anything. You fuck yourselves. And then I go to these fucking hedge funds and everyone would be walking around the floor like, hey, what do you know? I don't know anything. What do you think? And I'm like, holy shit, it's the same fucking banter. Like no
anything,
no
I think
matter
it's actually worse.
It's the same banter.
I think it's worse because you get guys that get stuck in seats that have an axe that they're given, right? So like you have some trader that you think is some like super big shot, but the reality is like he's just trading flow that he's being given. He doesn't know anything. Right? Like doing this for yourself with like no edge where you got to sit down in front of the computer and make some money. That's way harder.
Most of the shit is about execution and balls, really, and the rest of that bullshit
and like, ovaries as well. We were so Jimmy and I were talking before the happy hour, really, and just to get prepared. And he was like, it's been busting my balls for like 2 hours now. I'm like, dude, my ovaries are inside out. Okay, I need the shit to pop, right? Like. It's just, but you know what? If it hadn't, it's fine. Whatever. Fuck it.
Right.
Next.
But you know what? Like, I love talking to people when I'm like in those situations that are in those same situations that like, you know what I mean? That take it like that, like that's the way to take it. You know what I mean? Like, oh fuck, this motherfucker better pop at the end of the day.
That's what I was like. He was like, okay,
you got to keep it light and airy and funny and because like this shit, like there's no absolutes because no one knows. And even the most pompous fucking pricks we see all over fucking Twitter or all we see on the media, they fucking don't know either.
Oh, no?
And they don't even have the balls to actually say anything other than both sides of their fucking mouth. So at least like you have the guts, and most people on Twitter have the balls to at least fucking throw something out
I just
there.
say what I just say what I do, and it's sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong, like everybody else. But I do know you're exactly
But
right.
you say it in a very funny way, which is
Oh,
funny.
thank you.
Not only do you say like killer market commentary, but it's funny and it's good and it's
I
entertaining.
was good with my Doge joke today. I was like, oh, I got
Dude,
that
your
one.
Doge.
I was laughing at myself over that one. I was like, damn, I said
That was a killer. That was killer.
I was really proud of myself, but then that motherfucker kept dropping. I was like, but I think it'll do the fakey breaky shaky bakey. I think so,
Right.
but I don't know. So okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should do this again.
Yeah.
I'm down whenever.
Let's do a
Thank
Twitter
you guys
space.
for-
Let's do a Twitter space maybe next week or something.
Sure. Thank
For
you
sure.
guys.
I've never done
And
one.
bro, it's like both of you, like, you know, like, I'm an open book. I consider you guys friends. I'm super, super, like, happy and appreciative that you guys stepped up like you did. And anything I can do for you, I'm here for you. Reach out to me at any time you guys want to talk. I'm here for you. Like, anytime you need, like, what are you doing right now, or any of these, or my opinion, even, you know, my opinion sometimes is good and sometimes it blows. But either way, you know what I mean? I'm here for you dudes because you guys really, like, you really stepped up, and I appreciate that for a really great cause.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
that was super cool. Super cool.
Thank you guys. Appreciate the opportunity. You guys are awesome. Julia, love following you on Twitter. It's really cool to see what you're doing. And Jimmy, you take me back to the beginning, man. So I love the story. The street adages. You're good at distilling down like the street wisdom, man.
I don't, you know, like, I don't want to be necessarily described as a street bookie, but you know what? Like, when it comes to like markets, I'd rather be described as talking about these things as a street bookie than these bullshitting motherfuckers that, like, you know, like, I'm tactical, I'm fucking constructive. Fuck this. Like, you know what I mean?
We're all
You know,
trying
like,
to sell some shit.
you're right. Just fucking say it. So, like, that's
Yeah.
cool. It's really been great to meet you, and let's keep this friendship open. Like,
Awesome.
completely.
Thank you so much, guys. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Okay.
The whole thing.
Yay. Okay. Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.